Okay. Hello. Hello. Welcome to the live. Hello. Hello, incoming ad break. How does that happen every time? I guess because it's 10:30. No, because it should be the top of the hour, no? Okay. Thank you, Quantum. Much appreciated. We're gonna have some weird downtime with this recipe, kind of, while the potatoes are cooking. So that's fun, but we'll make it work. The San Diego trip was great. I had a lot of good food. Got to hang out with a very, very good friend of mine. Got wasty face. It was some good stuff. Fitting for the stream because of the leeks? Because it feels like a St. Patty's Day recipe? I guess technically, yeah, this could be I guess it kind of could be considered a St. Patrick's Day recipe. It's not like super traditional, but it's got potatoes and leeks and all the fun stuff. In my head, this is just like a spring recipe. This is my spring transition soup. Going from like hearty, cold weather kind of, soups into like a leek and potato. Starting to use some of the new green that's coming onto our shelves and getting coming more into season. And that's really honestly, like at this point, spring, it's like that's a below the Mason-Dixon line kind of a thing, right? It's like all the people that are in the lower United States or relatively low on a latitude they're in spring. But yeah, us up here in Colorado near the mountains, in the mountains, not quite spring yet. It feels like spring, but I'm waiting to just get snowed on like all of March. I'm like, it's gotta happen sometime, so. Steak au poivre, it's so good. Fresh potatoes in the summer with some butter, onion sauce, and steak. Oh my, yeah, that sounds real good. Yeah, he's only gotten to use his snow shovel twice. I got to use it once. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like at the same time though, I don't want to be like, I'm real mad about it. And then like all of a sudden we get like a huge blizzard. Like I can't, that can't be a thing. I can't mess with that. We have to get a simulator for him, a snow shovel simulator. I'm sure one exists. You just got 15 inches in Connecticut. Yay! Nice. I'm gonna wait for the ad break to end. Excuse me. Woo! Bless me. I'm gonna wait for the ad break to end and then we will kind of get started here. Do, 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 do. The potato streamer? Yes, I have checked out the potato streamer. I don't even know if this is honestly good. I've had these sitting back here. I don't like the way they smell. I'm gonna need to get some canola oil or something. Well, I prefer not to use olive oil. I have some ideas of things that I want to show you guys during the stream today. It's been back, honestly, that's been back there since the potato chip stream that I did like several months ago. And to be very honest, I feel like one of those is probably fine, and the other one was actually the oil that we used for the potato chips, and I put it back in, and so by now it's probably like off because I heated it so high. So really I need to go grab a new one from upstairs that's been less used. Yeah, I was looking at all of the potato skins that Let made the other day, and he was like messing with doing like two, so it'd be like two of us with the same skin kind of a thing, and it's not just him. I make a very cute potato if I do say so myself. Hey Violet, welcome. Thank you for rating. Welcome, welcome. Is YouTube live, hun?
There's nothing wrong with trying to secure the bag.
Can you have some soup, please? Are you cooking with me today? You can have soup if you cook with me today.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Aw, thanks, Violet. No. This is one of those like you can teach a man to fish kind of things. I'm not gonna give it to you, but I will teach you how to make it, and then you can have it anytime you want. Okay, I guess let's go ahead and get things going. I'm gonna need this. Okay. I believe that I am ready whenever you are to start the actual playlist video. Do I need a countdown or do I just go for it? I feel like we've done these for over a year now and I still don't know what to do. Yeah. Hey, and welcome to the Little Spoon Kitchen. It is soon to be spring. We're coming up on St. Patrick's Day, and so I thought a really good recipe for us to learn how to cook today is a leek and potato soup, or potato leek soup, whichever way you feel like putting the vegetable, doesn't really matter. But I have a couple of really good tips that are gonna give you a really light and creamy potato soup. I know sometimes anything that you put potatoes in can get a little bit like, kind of gloopy and heavy, and I'm gonna show you guys how not to do that. And then I've got a couple of really fun ingredients to just add a burst of flavor that you otherwise would not have. So let's get started. One of the first things that I am going to do today, because this is a cook-along stream. So for those of you who are finding this at a later date and you're looking for some soup that had potatoes in it, or a soup that was a spring soup or something like that for a kind of winter-summer transition, you're kind of figuring out what produce is in season, what can I use, that kind of a thing. It was a live, so I do have people over here hanging out in chat. I'm going to be talking to them, answering their questions, and then just trying to give as much information, science or otherwise, about what I'm doing as possible to help you guys as you're cooking through this. Nothing is pre-measured, except maybe, I guess, these are kind of pre-measured because they're just in little 2-cup measurements and frozen. But nothing is pre-measured, nothing is pre-cooked, and so I'm working through kind of the whole recipe from start to finish. And if you stumble upon this at a later date, you can go ahead and give it a watch, give it a whirl, but do know that it was at once live. And these do happen once a month. They're typically on the first Sunday of every month. April's actually going to be a little bit later because in 2026, April 5th, the first Sunday of the month, is actually Easter. So we're going to do it in the second week, but it's typically the first Sunday of the month. So I need 6 cups of chicken stock. I have some kind of measured and frozen cubes here that I am going to pull out. These are each 2 cups. Or these are each 1 cup. So I'm actually going to pull out a bunch of these and kind of just have them set aside. This is a 1 cup. Go. And then what we are going to do is we are going to get our roasted garlic started. I really like this recipe with roasted garlic. It's not actually necessary. Jesus. Okay, this will be fine. It's not necessary to have roasted garlic. You can use fresh garlic, but it is a different flavor. I find that there's like a really nice sweetness to roasted garlic, and it mellows it out a lot. Okay, not as intended. It mellows out the flavor of the garlic a lot more, which I really like. And also I have a bit of an allergy to fresh garlic, so I tend to cook with roasted garlic in a lot of my recipes, but it's not fully necessary. If you want to just microplane garlic, microplane being one of these, zest or grate garlic, right into your dish as you're making it, you totally can do that. That is absolutely something that is fully up to you, up to your decision. The amount of garlic you want to use, also totally up to you. Measure garlic with your heart. I fully understand. But I am going to talk about roasting garlic today, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that kind of 2 ways. So the first thing that you could do, and this is how it's written in the instructions, is to take a bulb of garlic and chop off the top of it. This is a really old bulb of garlic, so I don't even know if this is good because this is not what I'm actually going to be using today. But yeah, this is good. Okay, so you're gonna cut the top of that off. Most of the time, I'll keep the tops of these, but I'm not going to today. And then what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna make sure that all of the tops of the garlic are actually cut off so that the oil and the steam that's in there can kind of be released into the packet so that it actually does kind of roast it and melt it, and it doesn't just trap all that moisture in the cloves. You're gonna put down some aluminum foil. It doesn't need to be this big. Typically what I'll do is I will buy like a big bulk pack of garlic bulbs, and I'll make like a huge batch of roasted garlic, and they only need to be kind of like a square. And then you set your garlic down into the center of it, shiny side in, and then you pour a little bit of olive oil over it and you wrap it up. And then this goes in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius for about an hour. That is actually, I'm gonna have my husband take this upstairs. We're not going to use this today, but I did wanna make sure that I'm gonna run up and do it because I'm gonna grab some canola oil while I'm up there because I need it. So I'm gonna take this upstairs, throw it in the oven. I will be right back. It may be a minute. Okay, going in the oven. I know you can't see me, but you can still hear me because I'm mic'd up. Okay. I only have an oven upstairs, which is great. So I have to get like a tabletop oven or something like that for down here. Okay. So the other way is you can confit your garlic, which is essentially anytime you confit something is you slowly cook it in oil. So I'm going to pour some oil in. Again, you don't need a lot. I've got maybe like, it just needs to be covered. So you need to have like whatever you're cooking in oil needs to be fully submerged by the oil so that it doesn't like kind of get any air on top of it, that you're fully cooking it through. I'm just gonna toss some cloves in. So I've got a huge bag of cloves that are pre-peeled because I decided it wasn't worth it anymore to be doing all of that. I'm just gonna toss them in. Peeling garlic and onions is like the bane of my existence. I can't anymore. I'm over it. And I'm actually gonna make like quite a big batch. You don't need this many cloves. This recipe only calls for, I think it's 4 cloves of garlic. But you know what? I would like to have some more hanging around my house. And essentially what we're doing is we're kind of cooking these so that they turn into a paste. And we can just kind of like blend them in. Like I said, it gives them a sweetness. It kind of caramelizes them a little bit. The garlic mellows them out, and then it turns into kind of like a pasty texture, which is fantastic for any kind of sauces or other things that you want to use that you want to keep kind of a nice texture in it. The cloves seem huge. So I do feel like the ones on the outside are always kind of wide and large, and then as you work your way in, they get smaller. And I do always try to balance because I'm like, average size, let's go average clove, you know, and like try to keep it to like a middle guy. So typically, I think I've got the 4 cloves should be like, if you're grating it down or you're using a paste, it should be about 2 teaspoons if you're measuring by volume of the garlic. And then I'm trying to think, I think that's about, I want to say 2 teaspoons is about, it's like somewhere between 4 and 6 grams worth of garlic. So if that's helpful for you and you want to keep your recipe consistent, that's kind of the number that you're going to be hitting. But yeah, again, as I said before, measure with your heart when it comes to garlic. So I'm going to turn my stovetop on. I am going to put this on low and I'm just going to let it sit. And there is a difference, right? So there's a difference between preparing garlic any of these ways. So obviously, like I said, the fresh garlic is going to be more astringent. It's going to be peppery. You're grating it right in. All of this cooking does not need to happen. It is kind of optional. If you do decide that you want to roast your garlic the way that we have that upstairs in the aluminum foil, that is going to be nice and soft and mellow, and you kind of can just like squeeze the cloves right out of the bulb and then use them. When it comes to the confit garlic, this is going to be, it's gonna have a more roasted flavor. It's definitely not as soft of a flavor as the roasted garlic in the oven because oil is going to heat up so much more than just like an air temperature in an oven. Oil gets very hot. And so it will continue to heat, and that's why you have to keep it on low. It has to be cooked gently because it can very, very easily burn your garlic. And if you burn your garlic, it will be bitter. And so it does tend to be kind of a more roasted flavor and a less sweet flavor than what you're getting up in the oven. So just based on what you want to have. If you want to have it fresh and peppery, if you want to have a sweet mellow, and you want to have like a kind of roasted mellow flavor, then you're going to go with the confit. And you can just kind of make your decision based on what you like and go from there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start preparing the leeks and the onions and getting those ready to be cooked. Now I have listed 5 medium leeks. It's about 7 cups worth of chopped leeks, 575 grams, give or take. I've got a stack of 6. These are what I would consider Jesus. Okay, leeks are also very dirty. That's all dirt. I'm gonna show you guys how to cut and clean them after I clean my cutting board because I just dumped everything out on it. But I've got 5 leeks. I would consider this a medium leek. This is kind of what I would consider. I have seen much smaller than this. This is probably gonna give me about 150 grams, give or take. And so I need to get to 500 or so. So I'll probably need 4 of these. This one, like some of them are slightly thicker than the other ones. I have seen bundles of leeks that are like pretty large around. And if you're finding those, you're not gonna need 5. You will need less. So it's really just kind of what kind of produce you see, and how big the leeks are for when you're purchasing them for how many you will need. Honestly, having leeks in your house is not a terrible thing. For those of you who have not cooked with leeks before, they're basically like a really mellow onion. But there is something to be said about how you prepare them. So not only are they really dirty, right? And you need to like clean them a specific way, you also don't eat this part. Like all this green, you're basically gonna sit somewhere in the light green all the way down into the white. A lot of really nice restaurants are only gonna use like the white part of the leek because this is going to have the most mellow flavor and it is going to render and cook down better than this. The greener it is, the more fibrous it is, the less it will cook down. And so like this part here, I don't know if you can see. Let's see, do we have our overhead camera on? Okay, so if you can see the white stripes that are in here, this is all cellulose. So this is the like internal structure of the leek, and this cellulose is it's tough and it does not break down. It's kind of like the ends of asparagus, or I'm trying to think of what else. If you're chopping up like green onions or something like that, especially if you grow them in your garden and the bases of the green onions get really thick and you get that cellulose in it, they're never soft and they don't break down. So unless you're blending it, doing whatever, it's kind of one of those things that you don't typically use it, and the flavor profile is very different from the white part of it all the way up into the green part of it. This gets more bitter. It gets like way more like punchy. And so unless you're attempting to do that with your recipe, I would really only suggest keeping the tops of leeks for like making stock. So like a vegetable stock or a fish stock or chicken stock or something like that. I would chop these off and then I would just like toss them in the freezer and use them whenever I'm making a stock in place of onions or alongside onions. But yeah, when you're cooking to eat with a leek, you're gonna be sticking to the light green part and kind of going down. So I know this looks like a whole lot. You're like, Carrie, this is like 300 grams right here. Yes, but we're not using all of it. We're only using kind of like the bottom half of this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your knife and you're gonna go straight from where the roots are. Don't go all the way down because you do wanna keep it intact. It's kind of like when you're cutting an onion and you leave the roots intact so that when you're doing your dice, it doesn't just kind of slide and fall all over the place. It's the same concept, but you're gonna make a kind of a plus sign or a cross. So you're gonna go straight down one and then you're gonna turn it 90 degrees and you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go right up along the root. And like you can see, look at all that dirt. And this is a grocery store. It's not like I didn't get this from like a farmer's market or anything like that. It's just because of how they grow up in the soil. Let me turn that off real quick. So leeks start under the soil and grow up through the soil. And so as they grow, they're taking all of that dirt and it's kind of growing into the layers and then it sits there. And there's really nothing that like farmers can do about it. So like you always have to clean your leeks, especially. I know a lot of us get around cleaning fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, or we try to. We're like, it's fine, just eat it, whatever. But really, like you're gonna end up eating sand, and we don't want grit and sand in our food. So this is like, if you decided you don't care about like pesticides or wax or whatever, that's fine. But like you don't want to eat sand, right? Like let's keep that out. So. There is no such thing. That's right. Thank you. There is absolutely no such thing as a clean leek. Just doesn't exist. They just don't grow that way. It's impossible. Unless somebody like is selling them like pre-cut and like it says like pre-washed, pre-cut, pre-washed or whatever. If you're getting like a whole leek like this, like there's going to be dirt in them. So yeah. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're basically gonna just kind of split. I should have done this. Actually, let me do this with a dry one so that I can show you guys how to work through this. We're gonna do the same thing, right? I'm gonna cut, turn it 90, cut again. It's not always going to be like the perfect, you know, you're gonna have like little slivers and strips and things like that, and some will be kind of thicker and some strips will be thinner because it's really hard to get like a perfect 90 degrees. And a lot of the time leeks don't grow straight up. They kind of will grow at a curve or something like that. But don't worry about it. That's not a big deal. Everything will cook the same. This is gonna get blended. Having like perfect slices and dices is not a big deal with this recipe. But you're gonna open it up and we've got all of our layers from all the places that we cut, right? So we've got all 4 sides and we're gonna open it up and we're just gonna wash in between all the layers. So that's what I'm doing over here. Making sure that I get all that sand out and literally pull apart each one of those and get in between the layers and then give it a nice shake down, nice little shake out after you've gone through and cleaned out in between each one of those. Okay. And I'm actually gonna just set that down over here. I should have brought a colander down here. Okay. Do the other one. Again, and like if you really want to, it's just kind of one of those like, if you've ever gotten your hair dyed the way that I get my hair dyed and like you want to get a haircut and they'll like cut your hair before they put the color in because they don't want to waste it. If you don't want to like waste extra time getting grit off of the top of the leek, you can always cut down to exactly where you want to be like using first and then clean it and then kind of go back. But if I'm going to use the tops in soup, I might as well clean the whole thing is kind of my idea on that one. But if you don't plan on keeping them, you're welcome to like cut down to here, then cut your 4 pieces and then just toss this stuff and don't worry about cleaning it too. Really up to you. Okay, that's clean. Let's do another one. So like, say, I'll give an example. So I've been cutting them right all the way up, but if I'm only gonna use, say like this, right? And then this would get tossed. I wouldn't even bother cleaning it. Why am I gonna bother cleaning it if I'm not gonna use it? And then do one of these. Okay, got your 4. Give it a little open up. Make sure you have access to all your layers and then give it a wash. I think I'm gonna need one more, we'll find out. And I can always do another one if I need it, but I don't wanna do more than I need right now. Okay, do the last one. The same way, I cut off the parts that I'm not gonna use. Open it all the way up, make sure I have access to all of my layers. And really get in between each and every one of them. I feel like celery can be like this too, because celery grows the same way, but because they don't have like the same kind of layers, like because it's just a stalk, they're like not nearly as dirty, but like down in the bottom of celery can get like a lot of dirt in it too. Okay, and then I do want to just rinse off my board and my knife again, because I do have so much dirt on my cutting board. I don't want that to get into my soup. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna prep stuff. Okay, I need to prep some onions and I wanna get these leeks to set aside. Oh, I'm hearing some boiling. Okay, so let me just do this real quick. This is too much. I heard it. This is too high of a heat. I'm gonna turn it down. And I'm actually gonna take a really, really long time to put it back on the burner because this is an electric cooktop and not induction. So the time that it takes to like cool off is a lot, like a lot longer of a range for the range to cool down before I put that back on. So I'm gonna give it a minute before I put that back on. You want it to be like, so it's boiling, but it's like a super, super, super low simmer. So like a bubble here and there is kind of what you're going for when you're confying something. The whole point of like a really gentle simmer or a very low simmer is that at the bottom, it is boiling temperature, but by the time it gets to the top, it's not. And so the food that you're cooking at a gentle simmer doesn't hit that boiling point all at once, the way that a rolling boil is it's kind of the difference between like roasting in an oven and then using like without a fan and then using convection and using like with the fan on in the oven. If you are using convection, the whole oven temperature is going to be the same. It's going to be really uniform. If you're not using that, then it's directional heat from the coils that are heating the oven. And that's kind of the difference between a rolling boil and then like having a simmer. And so we are trying to do that. We're trying to maintain something that is like mostly under boiling point and not like direct heat, or in like a little, like a gentle direct heat, I should say. A gentle direct heat on the very bottom, what's touching the metal, and then everything above that is like a slightly lower temperature. Okay, so let's do our onion real quick. I'll show you guys how to do this, and I'll show you guys how to prep these guys. I do need, that's what I was looking for, was a bowl. I need a bowl for our food so that I can measure them out. I am going to be using, I'm gonna be using a kitchen scale today. I do have imperial measurements. I have like measured by volume, cups and teaspoons and things like that in the recipe, but I also use metric in all of my recipes because I think that weighing things out gives you just a much more consistent meal, product, recipe, whatever that is, than using something by volume. Just because the weight of something and the viscosity of something determines like how much you're getting. And volume can be kind of like a weird thing depending on like how you're scooping and pouring and like what the ingredient is. And it's just easier to like weigh everything out. And then I don't have to get like measuring spoons and measuring cups messy. I can kind of just weigh something out and just keep adding. And I really appreciate that when I'm like moving around my kitchen. And I'm sure my husband does too, because he cleans the dishes. So I get to have a good time and not have to worry about making a mess that I know he's gonna have to clean later. And so I'm going to chop up my our like cleaned leeks here, and we're going to weigh them out on our kitchen scale and get to the number that we want. And then I'll cut up my onion as well. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do, and these are like a rough chop. Okay, again, like we just need this to kind of soften, cook down a little bit, and then it's going to get blended. So we do not need to worry, right? We do not need to worry about having it like really, really thinly sliced. We're not trying to do this. And if you wanted this to be a like rustic soup, in theory, you could like just kind of have everything really small diced. And like kind of have a chicken stock surrounded by vegetables. So it'd be more like a vegetable stew, or like a vegetable soup than the creamy leek and potato. But I am going for a creamy leek and potato. So things are going to get blended today. Not how you expect, but they are going to get blended. Okay. So I'm just going to do one of these, give her a chop down. And we are going to go all the way down to the root, to basically where there we go, where I kind of drew that line, that initial like go almost down to the root, right? And so notice like as I'm chopping, it's kind of the same thing with an onion, is as I'm chopping, none of it is kind of falling all over the place because it's still connected to this root. Okay. So all this is gonna go in. Yeah. So I've got about, let's see, I've got 220 odd grams here. Maybe we do need one more of these. Okay, now I'm going to find, I still have some dirt at the top of this. I even missed all of that. I worked so hard to clean it and it's still a little dirty. So now what I'm gonna do, you'll notice like this one was the one that I chopped the top off, then cleaned what I knew I was going to cook. This one is not that. I just kind of stripped it, did the whole thing. I'm gonna find a point where I'm not seeing that cellulose structure, right? And where it's kind of a little bit lighter and a little less tough. You'll notice sometimes the outer strips, even though they're white too, can get a little bit like they're a little tough. So if you're noticing that your knife is not cutting through something, and this is the same thing with like artichokes, like if you're buying like canned artichokes for like a spinach and artichoke dip or something like that, if your knife is not cutting through an outer layer, it's not gonna break down. Even if you boil it or do whatever. So just take it off and just use it for stock or throw it away. Don't attempt to try to use something that is going to hinder the final result of your meal. So if your knife doesn't cut through it, your teeth aren't gonna cut through it, so don't use it. Okay, so I'm kind of working my way around here. This seems like a good spot. It's a nice light green color. This stuff gets a little bit darker, so I'm going to move those up there and I'm not going to use that. Really needed a bigger bowl for those. And then what we're gonna do is the same thing. Just chop right through. Okay. Okay. And then the same thing with this. Gonna find a nice light green all around. Okay. Move that up there. And then do the same thing. Add it. Ooh, yep, I need one more. I did need 5. I had a feeling they looked like they were like a medium leek size, and I was like, these aren't really big. I'm gonna get 2 bunches. Let's do this guy, and I am gonna do, I wanna know where if you can't really tell where the light green starts because it's too dirty or it's kind of old and it's got a little bit of browning on it or whatever, just strip that outside piece off, and now I've got a much better understanding of where I need to cut. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have to rinse my board off again, but that is okay. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just do all of these to make sure that I have enough, but so I don't have to keep getting my board dirty. It is what it is. C'est la vie. Okay. You can hear all the grit on the countertop. Oh my goodness. Leeks are so dirty. Okay, let's do some more. As soon as I get this weighed out correctly, I'm gonna check on my garlic back there to make sure that it is, put it back on the stovetop and get it back to cooking. Okay. I need 50 more grams. I'm thinking, here's what we're gonna do. Are you ready? Okay, I'm gonna teach you guys a little trick here. So I'm gonna actually take some of the inside leek leaves pieces that are light and like kind of lower in the cellulose because they're newer. So these are newer kind of shoots that are coming up, right? So it's kind of growing up and the outside gets really tough and the inside stays kind of soft. So you can kind of fudge the inside strips a little bit more than you can with the outside ones. And so I'm just looking for some ones that are like still really pliable. And I'm gonna see if I can get 50 grams out of this so that I don't have to cut up this last leek for no reason, because it's gonna be like more than I need if I do that. So that's maybe that piece. All these little guys. But like you can see how it gets shiny? You've got this white material here. That is too thick. That is never gonna break down. We're avoiding that. We're trying to grab these little pieces, right, that don't have that. Okay, we're gonna call this good. Oop. This is close enough for me. Quite a bit of leeks. I'm only 10 grams off, so I'm happy with that. I actually can too. We'll do this. We'll be 5 grams off, give or take. Maybe 7. There we go. Okay, now for the onion. As I said before, this is not about having perfectly diced onions. This is a rough chop. I'm honestly not even gonna like go crazy on this. I'm gonna cut the top and the bottom off, and I'm just gonna really, really roughly chop this into a couple of pieces. I just need this to like turn translucent, break down a little bit, cook with the leeks, and call it a day. This is going to get blended down. As long as it's cooking in the correct amount of time, it does not matter. So what I'm going to do is I've actually cut this in half. So now I have flat surfaces, right? So I've cut the top and the bottom off, cut it in half. I've got a nice flat surface. I'm going to cut like this, and then I'm just gonna do this. Easy. And now the sizes of the onion are basically the sizes of the leek. And that's kind of what we're going with. So they can all kind of cook at the same rate. Okay, whew, my eyes. Holy cow. Hold on. Ooh, that onion was ready. The old rustic chop, exactly. Oh my God. Cover that up, Jesus. That got me. I have very sensitive eyes. I've got little baby eyes. Okay, let me pull this guy forward. We're gonna start to get some cooking and stuff done now. As soon as I gotta plug this guy in, because I did not do that. There we go. Okay, so typically right now I would kind of prep some of the items that are gonna go in. I know my garlic is not done yet. I would be like, it's about 40 minutes to an hour up there in the oven. And I do tend to like cook this because this takes about 15 minutes or so to soften this plus the onions. And by the time I've prepped all of this, that is ready. And so I think what I am going to do, how do I want to do this today? Do I want to do this the same way as the recipe? Yeah, we'll stick to the recipe. Okay, so what I am going to do, now that we've got this done, is we are going to pull our pot. Okay, this is the pot I'm going to be using today. Okay, and we're going to start getting it warm. And I'm going to kind of get certain things measured out and ready to go. And then we're going to just kind of have everything ready to kind of go in the pot the second that we need it to. So let's do this. We're going to turn this guy on. We've got our onion and our leeks already prepped and ready. Okay. go. I'm gonna put some oil. There you go. I think I said something like 2 tablespoons, which is like an ounce, 30 milliliters. It's probably about 28 grams if you're actually weighing out your oil. Yeah, the interference of the cooktop. Sorry guys, I don't want to put my back to you, so we got the induction cooktop to use here. It's just is what it is, right? It should be okay. So far so good? Okay, cool. I like that. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna let this heat up. I'm gonna put the leeks in first. They are more fibrous than the onion, and so I want them to get a little bit of extra time cooking down before I put the onion in. Usually onion is like the first thing to go in, but in this instance, we're actually gonna do the leeks first. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna toss our leeks in. Get these guys going. If you really wanna get these softening faster, like if you do not have the time to just kind of like let things brown a little bit, kind of really cook down on their own a little bit, you can always put a lid on top. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna trap all of the moisture that's coming off, all the steam that's coming off of the leeks. And it'll send it back down, and just keeping that moisture in there is gonna make everything wilt and cook a little bit faster. So if you do need to move faster, you absolutely can. We are not looking to have these brown or burn. I really do want these to kind of like gently cook and get translucent. If there's a little bit of browning, that is okay. But if you're seeing anything that looks like it might burn, or you can't scrape off the bottom of your pot with ease or any of that kind of stuff, it shouldn't be a problem because you're literally covering the whole bottom of the pot with vegetables. So there should be enough moisture that you're not gonna have that issue. But if it is on too high of a temperature and you start to see that, turn it down. Because when leeks brown, they get bitter, and we don't want that to happen. We want our soup to be delicious. We don't want it to have that problem. Typically, if you're seeing somebody char a leek, it's really common in like Northern Italian cooking to cook leeks. They kind of like cook them on coals, but what it is you're essentially steaming the inside. They cook them whole, and they char the outside and then peel off the outside and eat the inside, which has been like completely steamed, and it's really good. And so you get like a smokiness from what happened to the outside of it, but you don't actually eat the char because that char is bitter, but the inside's real nice. All right, so I'm supposed to use, let's see, it's 1.2 grams of kosher salt, about 1/2 of a teaspoon. That's basically this. So I'm just gonna do this. I taste as I go anyway. It is what it is. The salt is gonna help pull moisture out of the leeks and the onions. That is what its job is. Obviously, it's also gonna like punch up the flavor, but its job for this purpose is to help the leeks cook down. You can see they're getting a little bit of moisture on the outside of them, but their structure is still really firm. We want that to kind of wilt and fall over. They will get a little translucent, just like onions. They'll go from white to like kind of like an off yellow color on the white portions of the leek, and that's what you're looking for. Also, this smells really good. Okay. And the garlic is looking real nice. All of these little pieces here that I've got, that is all gonna end up going in my freezer to be used at a later date. I should probably clean that up. I'll put it in here. Okay. All of this is prime stock ingredients. Even the skins of the onion, like all that. Okay, set this aside. Does anybody have this? Yes, it is oval shaped. This Dutch oven is oval shaped. I really like it. There are like certain like sizes that like only come in this shape, and this was the like the size that I wanted, and so like I ended up with an oval one instead of a round one. I do have a really large round Dutch oven as well, but this soup I'm not doubling the recipe or making something in bulk, so I don't need that big of a Dutch oven today. So we're using this instead. Turn that down. I'm starting to see a little bit of browning here at the bottom. You'll notice that if I just move stuff around, there's still enough moisture that it's taking it up and nothing is really sticking. So that is good. That is fine. I'm just going to turn this down just to watch kind of the temperature. And make sure that I am not doing something that I don't want to be doing. Okay. And it is good to kind of move things around, right, and release some of that steam and move stuff that's kind of touching the bottom of the pot around so it doesn't end up sticking and burning. But it is also really good to make sure that once you're done stirring, that you do put it down like back into a layer so that it can kind of continue to trap the steam in its layers and kind of cook at a uniform rate, if that makes sense. It's a kind of like you control the moisture retention, you control the steam, you release it when you want to or when you don't want to. And you could also have a lid on this and it just be cooking on a lower temperature with a lid, but you do still need to stir it because you don't want stuff to stick to the bottom of the pan. But you can start to see, so like some of them are going kind of translucent and they're flimsy. That's what you're looking for. Make soup for the whole neighborhood. I mean, yeah. I'll make like triple batches of stuff all the time and then just like put it in a bunch of containers and then I've got soup for whenever I want it. Yeah, we're sweating. We are sweating. I'm not looking for browning. I'm looking to sweat these down. Yeah. Okay, do we have any questions? My watch cross, yeah. Okay. Okay, so now this is a good part. This is a good place to now put our onions in. So that's what I'm going to do. Toss these guys in. Get these going. I used to watch Emerald as well. Emerald and Jacques Torre and Alton Brown. So good. OG Cooking Network was really something. It really, really was. I still think his New York style cheesecake is like, that's like my go-to cheesecake recipe. Emerald's New York style cheesecake. Very good. Okay, and so now I'm looking for the onions to kind of get to the same point that the leeks are right now. And once you've hit that, and the onions have kind of sweated down, gone translucent, gotten a little flimsy, at that point, then we can start adding in some of our other ingredients. So while this is cooking, now I'm gonna prep some of our other ingredients. It's kind of nice, this recipe, A lot of the times when you're making soups and stews, everything is done at like a very high temperature and it's like a rapid pace kind of thing. But because we don't want this to brown and we want it to kind of like gently cook and just let off moisture, I kind of have the time. I have the time to prep the other stuff, which is like really nice. So let's start doing that. I'm gonna start measuring out some of the other ingredients we need. That is looking good. I'm seeing just tiny little bubbles come to the surface every now and then. It's exactly where I want it to be. Actually, we can show you. Woo. There you go. So this is not like fully done. We're still gonna use it, but it's not fully done. Typically what you'll see, and hopefully by the end of the stream, it will be about ready to be done so that I can show you what you're looking for, but you can see all just like little tiny bubbles just on the surface. There's not a lot going on. Above the pot, you got it. Okay, so you can see like it's cooled off just a touch, but you can see a little bit of bubbles just sitting at the surface. There's not a rolling boil. There's not a lot of bubbles, just like a couple that are kind of like clinging to the surface of the garlic or popping a little bit at the surface, like little by little. The oil is going to turn a golden color, and the garlic will also turn like kind of like an off-white, slightly like beige color when they are done. And the oil is really nice to use as well. Like using that oil in like a mayo or something is like peak. So good. Okay, back to what we were working on. So now I'm going to do a tablespoon of miso paste, which is about 18 grams. I'm specifically using white miso paste to not be confused with red miso paste. This is the only miso paste that I have access to right now. If you are going to get miso paste and you have access to the tubs of like thick miso paste, please purchase that. It is stronger and better flavored than what I'm using. I'm honestly thinking about using a little bit more than what I have in this recipe just because I know that this specific product in the pouch is just not as pungent as the thicker pastes that are in the tubs. So if you have access to like an Asian market or something like that, get your hands on some red miso paste and some white miso paste. And this, I think I got this from I got this from Trader Joe's. It's okay in a pinch, but it's not my favorite. So I've made mayo with the oil I've fried onions in before. Oh my gosh, yeah, I bet that was really good. Okay. Did you like widen out the camera? So I'm just gonna do, yeah, all right, I'm actually gonna do a little bit more than 18 grams just because I think I want a little bit more with this stuff. But you're looking for 18 grams or about a tablespoon of white miso paste. That's that. And then I am going to take some of the garlic cloves out in a minute, but we're gonna actually skip those. It's the next ingredient, but because it's not fully done, I'm just gonna let it cook a little longer and I'll come back to it. Typically I would like put the paste in here and I would just like mix it up so that they were kind of like uniform and like well mixed, and then that would go in, but we're gonna do them separately today just because I've got that cooking back there. Honey, if you want, I guess it's been cooking for about an hour. If you want to grab the garlic that's in the oven upstairs, you can bring that down. Okay. We've got our chicken stock is already ready. I've got some bay leaves ready to go. And then the Parmesan rind. This is an optional thing. It just adds a little bit of savoriness. And just a little bit of like saltiness to the soup, but it's optional. You don't need to use this. If you wanted to do a vegetable stock instead of a chicken stock and then not use the Parmesan rind, you can have a completely vegetarian meal. And yeah, or I guess technically vegetarian or vegan meal. And it would be a wonderful soup and you don't need to worry about it. But I do like to have this in mind. So I've got some old rinds that I tossed in the freezer after I finished with the cheese. And I keep the rinds to toss into things like ragouts or I can come get it. He's trying to sneak without being on camera. You're so funny.
Probably touch it.
Oh yeah, I can't touch it. Hold on a second. I'll get a towel. Yeah, I'm just gonna go grab a hot pan that came out of the oven. That's what I'm gonna do. Thank you. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got here. So basically, when you unwrap these little pouches, don't go from the top. You're gonna wanna pull from the outside and then pull this way. If you go from the top, you're gonna get all that steam on your hands and that's not gonna feel good. I'm gonna let this rest for a little bit. Oh, it looks like I didn't do enough oil. This was a really old bulb of garlic, really old, but some of it is smushy. So, okay, we're gonna let this cool and I will come back to it. And then I'll show you guys how to kind of just like pinch some of that out and use that as a paste. But that is ready to go. I had a feeling. It was a really small bulb as well, and they cook a little faster than the bigger ones. Okay, this is actually ready. You can see that our leeks have really started cooking down. They're mostly kind of like all flat and flimsy. I don't have any that are like that kind of perfect kind of U shape that they were, right? And then the onion has also gotten translucent. I almost can't pick it out between the cooked leeks and like the onion pieces. They look almost the same. That's where I want that to be. Okay, so this is ready to start adding our other ingredients too. I am going to actually do the potatoes because these are going to be boiling in here for a while. And I'm going to sit with you guys while these potatoes boil because there's nothing else to do in the interim except maybe talk about the garlic. Okay, so I'm just peeling. I could make this go faster for us by cutting the potato pieces smaller, but I'm not going to do that for two reasons. The first being that the larger the potato pieces, the more potato flavor you get, the less watery the potatoes end up being, the better texture and flavor in your soup. The second part of that is that if I cut the pieces really small, I have to fish the pieces out and like then put them through a potato ricer, which is, surprise, surprise, the key thing here. That is our new technique, or that is the technique to use for the perfect texture. And if the pieces are really small, it's hard to differentiate the potato pieces versus all of the leek and onion and stuff that's kind of floating around in the soup. And we don't want that. I want to be able to pick just like a couple pieces of potato out and call it a day. You need 3 medium potatoes. I don't know if did I measure that out or was that just like 3? 700 grams. Okay, so you need about 700 grams of potato. And we are going to cut those into rather large chunks so that they're easier to fish out. We get better texture, you get better flavor. If you really, really, really wanted to, you could, like if the potatoes were roughly the same size like these are, you could just toss the whole potatoes in and then just take 3 pieces of potato out. It just takes a lot longer to cook. So I'm kind of like compromising and finding something in the middle. We're just slightly overlapping tasks here so that we can be a little bit more efficient. Okay. So I'm going to add in my miso paste. You do want to get a little bit of like cooking the umami ingredients at the bottom of the pan, the garlic and the miso paste specifically. You do want to get a little bit of that going, even if there is still moisture in here. Again, we're still not trying to brown, but just like any amount of like kind of cooking before you add the liquid in is going to just boost the flavors a little bit more. So we're gonna do that. And then apparently low is not low back here. That's fine. Let's do a little bit of this. Feels like it's good enough temperature now. So let's try squeezing out some of this. You basically take your hands and you pinch. You just push down and then squeeze out. So it's still a little hot, but you're basically gonna get something like this like paste. And that is what's gonna go in. I think that was like a half a clove. This was hot. It's oil, so it's hot. I tried my best. It was a really old bulb. Yeah, that's still really hot. I'm gonna just switch to the stuff that I was comfying. Honestly, I might do a little of each. We'll do one of each. How's that? You got one clove from there, you squeeze that, you get a couple of cloves out. You need 4 for this recipe or more if you really wanna do more. So I've got 1 from there. I'm gonna pull 1 out from here, and then I'm actually gonna also grate a fresh one, because why not? Or I'll pull 2 from the pot in the back. Ooh, I've got oil on my fingers now. Okay, so we've got our microplane. You're gonna not use the bottom of it. If you wanna cut the bottom off, you can. But if I'm grating the garlic, cutting the bottom off means that I have to use the whole thing, and I really don't like going all the way down because I always feel like I'm gonna grate my finger, and I don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna leave the bottom on for this, and then you just kind of run it along your microplane or zester. If you have a zester, that also will work. This just gives you a nice kind of paste. You could also really finely mince your garlic and then crush it with the blade of your knife. Okay, so now I've got like a nice little paste there. If you finely dice or mince your onion, oh my goodness, if you finely mince your garlic into something like, say, let's see, let's get some small pieces here, like this, and then you take your knife and push down like this, you can also create a paste. If you don't have a zester or a microplane, that is also an option. If you're looking for a way to do that, that is how you do that. And then let me, okay, I left my tongs upstairs, so we're going to use some ice tongs. Why not? Do I have another set of tongs down here? Oh, okay, we're gonna use these. Why not? Let's do it. Okay, so we've got our garlic here that has not been fully cooked through, but we're gonna make do. Hey guys, using these is hard. Okay, let's do this one and this one. I'll use those again to fish the potato pieces out later. That's really funny, actually. And so what I'm gonna do with these now, these were in oil, they are gonna be hot, but I'm gonna be careful. And these aren't fully cooked through, but they should be, yeah. So again, I'm just using the back of the blade of my knife. And now I've got a nice paste. No dicing necessary. Okay. Did everybody get that? Do I need to did I demonstrate well enough the different kind of ways to make that work? Do you feel like, does anybody need like a better explanation or more clarification or anything? Any questions? Okay. Gonna move that around the pot. So I've got my miso paste. Now I've got my garlic in. Again, we're just cooking at a like medium-low temperature, letting things go. Really trying to keep the flavor delicate in all of the ways. Savory but delicate is what we are shooting for. Once I can smell that garlic get fragrant, that's when I'm gonna add in my chicken stock. You could have melted all of this. I'm just lazy. So that's just gonna get put in and I'm gonna let it melt like on its own and then start cooking. Watching you explain garlic was like Harry Potter getting the Half-Blood Prince's potion book. You have to crush it instead of chop it. I'm sad to say I understand that reference and I'm with you on that. That's really funny. Okay, so I'm also going to prep my potatoes, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm putting like that, nice big chunks so that I can fish them out later. Okay. That's so funny. Okay. I'm smelling this garlic. It smells real nice. We're going to start just adding in our chicken stock. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clear the bottom so that they can really start cooking. And I'm going to raise the temperature up. Because once this starts to actually melt, there's going to be so much liquid in the pot that it's going to be like impossible to burn anything. So we're going to bring that up real high. Make some space if we can. And let these melt. There we go. Okay. I brought the power up on my cooktop. I'm basically at like medium high heat, somewhere in there. And then once this melts fully, I'm gonna toss the potatoes in. It would have been better if I had like stock in a container or pre-made stock that I had melted and had like warmed on the back burner. That would have been better, but it's just a little bit longer. It's not a big deal. For those of you who want to make homemade stock, this recipe online does include a recipe or instructions to make chicken stock. So you can use that. I made this with that in mind. So a couple of things about using a store-bought stock. First of all, just get better than bouillon. The better than bouillon chicken paste, stock paste, or whatever we want to call that, bouillon paste, is going to be much more economical. Especially with everything now, it's going to be much more economical for you to use that over just getting boxed stock. Boxed stock, unless you're purchasing it from a small business that makes it like, kind of like makes it for real. If you're getting like, some other kind of boxed stock, it's bouillon that's just been just has water in it. It's not anything extra special. It's not like making it from home. And so just don't bother. Just buy the bouillon, follow the instructions, make 6 cups worth of what you need and go from there. Now, I will also say that the bouillon is going to be saltier than what I'm using because I do not add salt to my chicken stock when I make chicken stock. I am using a pre-cooked rotisserie chicken, so there is some salt there, but it is not nearly as salty as the bouillon base will be. So if you are worried about salt, go ahead and buy the box stuff and get something that's low sodium and then use that and salt to your preference. If you're not really worried about the salt and you're like, I'm cool with that, not a big deal, I can add less salt or no salt when I'm doing this and then taste and finish off at the end to my preferences, the bouillon is going to be better economically for you. So just, figure out what you would like. The flavor cubes are okay. Somebody just brought up flavor cubes, the little dehydrated cubes that you can get, and they're usually, I guess sometimes they're in the stock aisle, sometimes they're in the international aisle. They've got like a little green like rooster on them, or chicken, whatever on them. It's like a yellow box. You can purchase those. I still think the paste is better. The paste has more flavor, and the cubes have. I don't even know how to say this. The cubes are just not as good. They're fine if you're doing like sauce, like pan sauces or things like that. But if you're going for like a full stock, like making 6 cups of stock, the paste is going to be just infinitely better than those cubes are going to be for you. Okay. Yes, tell your wife to get those. Oh my goodness. Yes, paste over cube. That's all I've ever really used them for, small stuff, so good to know. Yes, yeah. They're great in small stuff, or if you want to add just a hint of extra flavor to something that already has flavor. But by and large, if you're going straight for a chicken stock and that is a main component, use the paste. Or make chicken stock at home. One weekend, break down a rotisserie chicken, eat it for lunch, and then toss all the bones and the leftover skin and any leftover meat in a pot with some carrots and some celery and some onion tops. The leeks, if you're planning on making this, you can take the leek tops and put the leek tops in there and then keep the bottoms for when you actually make the soup. And then I think I have I like to put a couple of other things. I like to put half a lemon, some coriander, some black peppercorns, maybe some thyme or some bay leaf or something like that when I'm making it at home. I don't know what I had in the recipe because I did not actually put the recipe here. I just kind of assumed that people would have chicken stock in their pantry somewhere. But the recipe is there. If you go to this recipe on my website, alittlespoon.com, the link should be in the notes section underneath this video if you did find this at a later date. And there is a chicken stock recipe in there. So if you do want to make it, you can. And chicken stock can be made months in advance. So if you want to make a big batch of chicken stock and get somewhere between 8 to 14, 16 cups, whatever, depending on how many batches you make at once, you can make a whole bunch of chicken stock and then do what I do and just break it up into smaller containers, freeze it, and then you have plenty of chicken stock anytime you want to make a soup, a stew, a sauce, whatever. So. I'm good? Okay, what's the last thing you guys heard? I'll start right off at the top. We can cut it out and no one will ever know if they're watching this on the playlist portion and not the live portion. Something about chicken stock. We didn't even make it to potatoes? Was I talking about? I feel like I was talking about the potatoes when it went out. Oh, that's right. I forgot I turned this off. I turned this off thinking that it was like this. I was about to drop the potatoes in. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be kind of awkward that I'm like not, like we are going from dropping potatoes in to suddenly, you know, whatever. I'll just say something about it. Okay, hold on. Let's get this going back up. Okay. We had a bit of an audio issue, so welcome back. I was putting the potatoes into my stock and letting everybody know that if you are going to cook potatoes and anything that you want potatoes to be pureed or mashed or somehow completely dissolved into something, so a gnocchi, a mashed potato, or a creamy potato soup of some kind, what you're going to want to do is put the potato pieces into your liquid when it is still cold or room temperature. You do not want it to be boiling and then put potatoes into a boiling liquid, because what happens is the outside cooks too quickly. It cooks faster than the inside, obviously, but so much so that the outside gets really starchy. It starts to kind of slough off the potatoes, and then you end up with a gummy, mealy texture. So the longer the potatoes can kind of stay together and cook as uniformly as possible, the better. So if you start at a lower temperature, it's going to give time for the center to warm and cook in a little bit more uniform of a fashion than if it was already boiling and that outside immediately gets hit with a high heat. So that's what we are doing right now. This is still obviously cold. I still have little chicken stock ice cubes in here, but I am feeling some warmth. So they're almost done. They're almost done melting. And then we are going to just let this cook through. We're gonna finish prepping the rest of our ingredients, and I'm gonna sit here for a little bit while these have to cook, because it's gonna take a little bit. So we're gonna go. You can, I typically like to cook potatoes at a low kind of boil. I am going to let this cook at a higher temperature today just to kind of get it done a little bit faster. But I typically would let this cook at the same kind of boil that I would for like a mashed potato, which really means like you're seeing kind of bubbles pop on the surface. You get a little bit of that foam on the surface, but it's not a rolling boil. I'm gonna let this get a little closer to a rolling boil today just to move things along a little bit better. But that is, yeah, we've got all of our stock. Okay, so all of our stock is now melted. I've got my potatoes in. They're gonna start cooking and going. And I'm just gonna let this chill. I'm gonna let that chill. We're gonna toss in these guys, our bay leaf. We're gonna toss in our Parmesan rind. Those also have to get fished out later. It's gonna be hard to find those. I usually like to have like one long strip of Parmesan so that I can find it easier. That is not what I just tossed in there, so we'll see how easy that is to fish out later. We'll see. Check on these guys. That's good. That's starting to turn golden. That's real nice. We've got our thyme. We have some white pepper. We have some nutmeg. The nutmeg is just to finish. But those are our kind of like last ingredients here. So I'm going to prep those. I've got 2 sprigs of thyme. Whoop. This is probably about 2 sprigs of thyme. I'm just going to use this one here because it's really big. And we are going to just pick off the leaves. When you are messing with thyme, I know thyme is like one of the most frustrating herbs to use because you have to be like so careful. The stalks and the stems of thyme are really bitter and woody, and it's not a great flavor, especially if you're trying to keep something like nice and delicate like a soup. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna strip the kind of leaves off and just like make a little pile of leaves. Sometimes you'll get like a really nice strip like this where it's like one long stem and then like no offshoots. Other times you'll get like a ton of offshoots, and that can be really frustrating because you can't just do what I did. But I want to show you guys this. So you'll get pieces that are kind of like this. If the stem that the leaves are on is a young stem, if it's still green and it's really flimsy, you don't have to pull just the leaves off. You can use that part of the stem. But the second, like down here, it starts to get like less flexible. If it doesn't feel like you almost can't feel it when you're moving your finger through it, then you have to take it off. So I would like kind of pinch off that end, and I can use this entire thing, and that's fine. So like, just so you know, like when people are like, pick for the leaves and like only the leaves, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, especially like at Thanksgiving. At Thanksgiving, like my stuffing uses so much time, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God. You can use some of the stem. It's okay. If it's really young, you're not gonna get the bitter. It's just when it starts to get tough and inflexible, that's where you kind of have to start worrying about that. And it is kind of a judgment call. So like if you're really nervous about it, you can do just the leaves. But like by and large, you can use some of the stems. You can, and it's okay. It won't hurt the dish, I promise. Okay, so just kind of working my way through, grabbing leaves from the pile here. We've got our boiling going over there. We are in a good place, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Okay. Honestly, all of this looks great. That's a little tough. Okay. Okay, so got my little bundle of thyme here. This is not gonna go in until later. I turn that down. Okay, and now we're gonna do our white pepper. This is just a grinder, so I'm just gonna do a little bit of this. None of this stuff is going to get added right now. They're going to get added after the potatoes are done cooking. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to fish the potatoes out. I'm going to stick them in this bowl here and let them just kind of release a little bit of extra steam and moisture. And everything that's left in the pot is going to get put into this blender back here. Okay. So the key to having a really light and creamy potato soup is to not over blend the potatoes. I could, and you totally can. If you're like, I just want to get this done with, I don't want to deal with it, your best bet is to do one of two things. You can take a stick blender and you can just blend everything together and have like a really kind of rustic leek and potato soup, or you can take all of the ingredients, stick them in a high-powered blender, let it go until it's done, and pour it back in. I do highly recommend having extra stock to thin it out, because what happens is the blades in the blender are going to so whip and agitate the potato that starch is going to gelatinize, and it's going to thicken it more than putting it through our potato ricer and just mixing it in to our blended vegetables and stock. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm avoiding the like potatoes getting gummy because they're overworked by pulling the potatoes out and separating them, blending the rest of the soup, putting the potatoes through the potato ricer, and then just kind of giving them a brief mix with the stick blender to make sure that everything kind of cooperates, combines, comes together, right? This is way too hot. Let's turn that down. And so that's kind of where like the technique lands, is it's like you're doing the best of both worlds. I'm getting a really blended down, creamy based soup, and then being super, super gentle with the potatoes and not overworking them. And that is like, that has given me kind of the best. You can fully just blend everything, have a perfectly lovely soup. You may have to add some more liquid to it because it might thicken up a little bit too much. Just keep that in mind, but it's still still a perfectly good soup. Or you can get something more rustic and just use a single hand tool and like not have to clean a blender. It's really up to you. All three of those perfectly acceptable options. The technique that I'm going to do today is the one that I like the most for texture. And so that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. But you can follow along, obviously, and just kind of like watch me go through the motions, and we can take care of that. So, immersion blender time. Yeah, almost. Okay, I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a stir. It's going to take some time. Okay. You are welcome to derail chat. That is a-okay. I'm just out here doing the kind of same thing. I'm just word vomiting. That's all. We're just rambling about food. Why not? Now you want soup for lunch? Yes. Okay, I only need half a teaspoon of this. Did way too much, that's okay. I am probably going to sneeze. Okay. I'm using white pepper instead of black pepper because white pepper, again, I had said we want to do something that's light. And the black pepper is a really harsh flavor to be adding. We're doing a white pepper for just a lighter peppery flavor that goes better with this dish. You can do black pepper if you really want black pepper. I would say use less because it will be a much more potent flavor. And the white pepper just will like melt into kind of the balance of the flavor a little bit better than black pepper. But if you don't have white pepper at home, just use some black pepper. Probably use about half of what I have in the recipe and you'll be fine. Everyone does I agree. Everyone overestimates white pepper. I agree. I agree. Okay, so we probably, I'm gonna just do a quick, for those of you who caught this at a later date, we'll be back in 30 minutes because that's how long it's gonna take for these potatoes to cook through. And I have nothing to do until then. So I will see you guys in 30 minutes and reintroduce you to where we are in the recipe when we get there. Cool. Time travel. Yeah, we're gonna use time travel today. There's just no point. Like not even this is done. So I can't even like, there's really nothing else to talk about. Yeah, you can if you want. I could find things to talk about, but I kind of feel like then if I talk about everything too soon, then while I'm doing it, I have nothing to say. So a fast forward overlay, we just like let it actually be kind of funny if like we just like let it keep going and then just like did a really quick fast forward and I'm like, hey, I'm back. So you can like see me moving around the kitchen or like talking to the camera, but like we're just chatting. So like, I guess you can see, this is again something, right? I'll talk about it again later, but you can see that there's a little bit of foam at the top. That's just the potatoes cooking. I don't have a ton of boil going on here. I do want to see the top of the water shifting just a little bit. I just don't want that rolling boil I had earlier. So we're coming back up to temp. I was super worried the first time that I colored my hair and went into my office because I worked in political communications, and I was like, I'm gonna get this from somebody who thinks this is unprofessional and like the optics of it and like whatever doesn't look good. And I was really nervous. I had purple hair. I did like a purple fuchsia kind of color, and I went in and I had it that color, and my boss took one look at me and he goes, I really like that on you. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then I never stopped coloring my hair after that. So just do it. Just do it. And I mean, but part of like, I did have the knowledge that they couldn't really do anything about it because they couldn't fire me. It would have been bad. I was handling way too much. So like the worst they could have done was like, you need to re-dye your hair back to brown or something like that. But I wouldn't have gotten in that much trouble for having colored hair. So I did have at least that, that bit of confidence going in that like, there's not that much they could do about it other than tell me that like, hey, you really should re-dye that back. So I thought about that. So this is the first time I've done green. And it's obviously I had blue underneath it, so I'm getting a little bit of teal. But when it's like a vibrant green, I'm like, hey, this is kind of like CSU colors. So I feel like I'm super on brand for our team. Yay. I didn't even know what they are. Rams? Are we Rams? Go Rams? I don't know. Yay, sports ball. Oh, my husband's complaining that I get compliments and he doesn't. I like your grades. They're very cute. Go animals. Yeah. Right? Oh, God. Go nouns. Nouns, yeah, that's actually much more general, right? Because you could have like something that is not an animal. So go nouns. Tell me about it. You're really Mr. Really Tall. That's funny. I need a ladle. It's funny. You always think that you're prepped enough. The problem is like I bring stuff upstairs because I'm like, oh, I need this thing and I need multiple of it or whatever. Like if I'm doing a big bulk cooking day. Yeah, I need a ladle. Will this work? Not really. Hey, hun. Oh, actually, that's really small. That's too small of a ladle. Hey, hun, can you go upstairs and get me a big ladle? There's a black plastic one in the big drawer. I'm gonna need that. Did a light just turn off? Sorry, what? I feel like a light just turned off. Oh, that fell down. Huh? A ladle? Yeah. Huh. I wonder why that did that. There we go. How long was that down? Did that just happen that the light changed? I looked over and that was facing this way. So there's a deep ladle, like a really deep one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells so good.
It's gonna be my lunch
Oh, our lunch.
for work. No, I'm gonna take it in a thermos to work.
Lunch.
Oh, my tongs. Yeah, can you grab tongs too? Thanks, chat. I could have sworn that I brought them. Honestly, you know what I think it was? Is I was going to get tongs and then I grabbed the spider instead. And I was like, oh, I'll just use this. But this is going to be a nightmare too. Like, I'm not going to, that's silly. You're welcome. The tong song. Oh, no. Do I have, huh? The silver later's too small. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't need it, but that would have been fine. But I don't. This is good. This is what I needed. I have a Conricken can opener that's like supposed to be for left-handed people. I don't think that you can get them anymore, so I kind of don't care. I don't even know what this is. Probably it's OXO. I use this guy down here. I use this guy for really small cans because my Conricken one has kind of decided it's really old. It's like a 12-year-old can opener at this point. And I love it to pieces, but you essentially slide it like topways onto cans, so you're not doing like the side. This is kind of hard to demonstrate. Let's pretend this is a can. Why not? So most can openers, like this one, you would kind of put on like this and then you go around, but I'm left-handed. And so like as a kid, this was annoying. Now I'm an adult. It's like not really that big of a deal. But the one that I have that's left-handed goes this way and you go over the top, it slides in, and then there's a piece that like, ratchets up and down, and it goes around the can this way. And then you pull the top off, and then you don't have any sharp edges or like any of that kind of stuff. And the can tops fit back on snugly because they're not getting pulled from the top. They're getting pulled from around the side, which is really nice. But I have not, like, I even checked eBay looking for it and I can't find it. If I could ever find another one of those, I would spend $50 on it, to be very honest. Like, I love that can opener so much. So much. An electric can opener. I bought one of those for my mom. She hates can openers. Even when we were younger, she had like an electric can opener that like looked kind of like a, okay. Have you guys ever seen the malt milkshake machines where it's got like the long stem with like the little kind of whipper, whatever the thing, and then you like, it's like a big stand, and then you have the cup with the ice cream and you kind of just like move it around and like make a malted or like a milkshake or whatever. She had, it looked kind of like that, where it was like a whole base, and then it had like a little metal piece that had a magnet on it, and you would just like right up to the top and it would spin it around and you didn't even have to hold on to it. That thing was cool. We had that when I was like a baby. Like, she's never liked can openers. The problem is it needed batteries. You needed to get something that could plug into a wall. Take up plug space in your kitchen. Yeah, if you get too close to the surface of the milkshake, you can get ice cream everywhere. Especially if it hasn't mixed well enough yet, and you still have like really loose liquid, like milk or whatever, at the top, and then the ice cream's at the bottom. That's a mess. That's a mess for sure. Let's see where we are. Yeah, we're getting there. I probably got another 10, 15 minutes. This will be done. Close. I have to keep the low on this is not low enough, so I have to keep turning it off and then on to low and then off and then on to low. It's a shame. Ugh, do I have anything else? I think this is it. Aside from the nutmeg. Talking about topping it with stuff. Cool. Cool. I really wanted to do like croutons and like make little croutons for this as well. But because I don't have an oven down here, I was like, that's just gonna be more running up and down the stairs. But do I ever fry or bake potato skins for toppings? I mean, I did potato skins for the Super Bowl. It's honestly the first time that I had ever done something like that. I like the idea and the concept of frying like the skins that I've peeled off just because it saves from waste, but I've never had them, so I actually don't know the answer to that. I don't really ever do it. I am interested in attempting it, but I'm not sure like what to kind of expect. I really like the inside of potato skins. Like I am not a crispy potato, like crispy fry person. Like I don't like shoestring fries. I don't mind having the skin on the fries when I'm eating them, but like I'm a like potato wedge girly. Like I want a really thick, like lots of potato center in my fries. So like the skins, like I'm like and I just never. Yeah, you're essentially making like potato chips, but with like just the skin. Yeah, nice and crispy. Yep. You respect the wedges? I love a steak potato. I love the crinkle cut potatoes you get when you're at like a roller rink or an ice skating rink or something like that, or a bowling alley with like the special seasoning that goes on them. Oh, I love a potato wedge, love a steak fry, all about it. They start to get thin and I'm like, not enough potato. I guess, is anybody actually cooking this today? I didn't even ask. I usually ask in the beginning, but I didn't today. Are we all just sitting here together, waiting for potatoes to cook? I contemplated boiling the potatoes in the chicken stock on a back burner while I was doing the other stuff so that they could come together at the same time and make it easier, but yeah. You wanted to, but you have a deadline. Does this feel like a recipe that you'd be comfortable with or that you would like? Like, I'm not doing it now, but I do plan to make it at a later date kind of thing? Yeah, it's not, I really feel like a lot of braised dishes and like soups are like, it's not hard. It's just like there might be a lot of prep or there might be a lot of ingredients to kind of throw in. But by and large, a lot of it's just kind of like sitting around waiting for something to finish, you know? Whoa, we've got a chef in the house. What is this? Mashed potatoes, oven baked vegetables, sausage with cream and mustard. That sounds super good. Yum. Hey, somebody in YouTube. I was honestly wondering. Hey, Swift Sword. You did a ragu on Thursday, and that's really good. I love a ragu. I literally have like 3 pounds of chuck roast, like just trimmed and prepped in my deep freezer that I've been meaning to make my ragu recipe, and I haven't gotten around to it. I need to do it. You're doing something else for dinner, rice with a lot of flavors. What flavors? We've got time. I need some descriptions here. But with your company, very cool. Cool, we're body doubling. I'm keeping you on task, and I have to stay on task because I have a camera on me. Yeah, it can be daunting. It can be daunting. I tell people all the time, I'm like, the best thing that you can do to learn how to cook, and this is the same thing. It's like, you want to know how to lose weight? Exercise, all of that kind of stuff is like, you have to do this thing. You have to sleep, you have to exercise, you have to drink water, and you have to do those things. And it's the same thing. If you want to get better in the kitchen, you have to cook in the kitchen. You have to experience different things in the kitchen, or you're never going to kind of build up the instincts. Because like, it's not like cooking instincts is just experience. Nothing comes naturally to someone like that. Like, you have to be either surrounded by it and just like be in it for a really long time, or you have to physically be doing it to learn and remember those things. And the best thing you can do is just get in there and do it and not be worried about messing up. And like, by and large, messing up stuff, it's still probably better than what you're gonna get if you like went to the store and bought it pre-cooked or something like that. And it's just not as scary. If you get in there and start doing it, it's not as scary. Follow a recipe, you'll be pretty much fine. What's the difference between ragu and casserole? Do you mean like a bolognese? What do you mean for casserole? Because a casserole is just like a starch and a sauce and sometimes a protein cooked together in a baked dish in the oven. Like, that's basically a casserole, but like a stew. So a ragu is essentially it's like a tomato sauce with braised beef in it. But you could have a ragu that's like a duck ragu. I guess it's just braised protein. Braised protein in a tomato sauce, kind of, is like what you would consider a ragu. And then if you're doing a bolognese, it's typically a ground meat, and then there's usually cream in it. So it's basically like a ragu, but it's not braised. It's like ground, and then you'll have like a cream kind of as well in there. Stew can be pretty much anything that is protein and liquid, and it doesn't have to be braised. A lot of the time it is slow cooked, but usually with a stew, it's in chunks and not like in a big piece that then like shreds or is ground. They're usually like little bite-sized chunks, like a chili. And I know a lot of people are gonna get on me for like saying chili is a stew, but you know, whatever. But it's usually like smaller pieces of meat, sometimes shredded, but it's not cooked the same way that you would cook something braised. Braised is usually like a big chunk of something that you cook in liquid, and that's the main way to cook it. But like a stew is like everything is just kind of cooked together, mixed together, and it can be done like on a stovetop, not necessarily in an oven. Yeah, and there's usually other things in there. So like you usually have like chunks of vegetables or noodles or like something else that goes with it that is in a stew. So like a ragu or bolognese is like made specifically for the meat and the sauce, and a stew usually has like other things in it as well as the meat, and the liquid is usually thinner. Hope that's helpful. Maybe that's helpful. Not quite sure. You could save the planet by asking me all the questions you ask AI. I'm gonna wait to re-say that when we're back on. No, I won't. That's funny. Thank you for that. You kind of have to learn sit and kind of distinguish things and like figure out. It's kind of like when you're learning vocabulary for like testing. And you have to learn all of the like really hard words, the really big words, but they're like slightly different meanings for each thing. And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to like terminology and cooking, where it's like everything is like kind of the same, but like slightly different in some way. And so like in order to be able to write about it, I kind of have to learn it. A bolognese lasagna for work. Yum. Yum, yum, yum. That's something I want to do, is make a lasagna from scratch. That's something that is like in my to-do list. I don't know when it'll happen, but it is something that I do want to have a recipe for. Do a bolognese, and then I already have like a pappardelle pasta recipe. So it would be like like basically using that recipe for sheets. It's like an egg pasta for sheets of it, and then turning that into a lasagna recipe. The problem with like doing recipes like the way that I do them, and like having something kind of be like fully from scratch, is like you have all of these components, and like I'm like, hey, here's this one recipe, but you have to make like 4 different things, and then they all come together at the end. And then like I don't have like, hey, here's a pantry staple for creme anglaise. Here's a pantry staple for frangipan. Here's a pantry staple for a kitchen stock. Like I don't have any of those base recipes. They're just like in a full recipe for like a galette or something. And I kick myself about it. I know that I need to break them up and like have the kind of like pantry staple foundational recipes kind of set by themselves. But like, I don't know. I get too excited about like a really cool final product, and I'll get to it eventually. Provolone, low moisture mozzarella, and maybe a ricotta. Yeah. Yep. I will say too, I really like a mascarpone in something, like depending on how creamy you want it to be. A mascarpone whipped in with a ricotta really helps texture, but that's up to you. That's an up to you thing. Not too much. No, not too much. Just a little bit. When I do my pierogi, I put creme fraiche in it because I like that bit of sourness that you get from creme fraiche. And also it's just nice and thick enough that it makes the farmer's cheese like creamier, and the end resulting potato just like filling creamier. And so a mascarpone would essentially do the same thing. Without that tanginess, you would get the kind of the same situation with your ricotta if you were looking for like a really creamy base. Oh no, ads. I just make soups for work. I'll make like a kimchi jjigae kind of situation. I'll do pozole. I'll do like a pozole verde, and then I'll do chicken noodle soup. And I'll do tomato soup, and I just bring soups to work because it's so easy to stick it in the thermos and just have something hot. Let's see. Always equated ragu as requiring pasta, and a stew is more of a soup. No, so like a stew is meant to be thicker than soup, right? A ragu is like, it is thick, like it does go on pasta. It's meant to coat pasta, be a heavier, thicker situation, but a ragu and a stew, I would think, are almost a really similar texture. A stew can be looser, but they both, to me, a stew also requires a starch to kind of carry it through. So say like a Brunswick stew, which is on the lighter side of a stew, or like a vegetable stew or something like that, I would still want that like over with noodles, over rice. Brunswick stew I like to put over tater tots. So like I'm still using a starch as a vessel to kind of carry that stew. I wouldn't usually eat it by itself. It can be eaten by itself in the way that I would eat a ragu by itself too. It can be eaten by itself, but typically it is using a starch as a vessel, the way that a soup wouldn't do that. In my head. But like, honestly, I feel like there's so much gray area when it comes to that. Ooh. Yes, please do post pictures. I want to see. I want to see pictures in my Discord. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Cyberg. That's really nice. I went from roast chuck chili to to potato soup. Oh no. Yeah, it's the hot dog as a sandwich. That's why I was like calling chili a stew. A lot of people are like, "Oh, ma'am." They get really mad at me. Okay, I think this is probably ready. So we're gonna give her a test and see where we are. I feel like it's gotta be close. Almost. Damn it. We're not. I did cut these chunks rather large. I really didn't feel like having a hard time fishing them out. They're not quite done yet. Close. That one's done. Okay, I'm gonna let this go for like another 5 minutes, and then I'm just gonna call it a day, and it'll be fine. It's my weird fork. I don't even know where I got these from, but they look good in pictures. I hate using them to actually eat, but they look good in pictures. Oh, ad break. No. Yeah, we should be good to go after the ad break. So that'll be my indicator there to start pulling the potatoes out and like do a reintroduction to the stream. No ads on YouTube. Hey. He is not allowed, he is not allowed to do a Rickroll during my streams. That is a him thing. That is absolutely not a me thing. If he ever did a Rickroll during my streams, I would be so mad at him. Because for him, he's like, you know what? I don't care. I'll kick people out. I'll do whatever. Whoever comes here to watch me comes. But like, I don't have a problem trolling people. That is not my MO. That is not my brand. I'm too nice to. I enjoy a good. Actually, honestly, I really like that song. So anytime I get rickrolled, which is not often because I'm not in those spaces, but like, I'll sometimes just put that song on because like I don't mind it. But yeah. Now I'm going to have that song in my head all day. I'm going to have a nice little earworm going on. Yeah, no ads if you sub. That probably would have been the better the better comment for me to say instead of the no ads on YouTube. It's the bigger, I had two bigger pieces in here that are the ones that are not quite ready yet. Just check the other guys. Part of this is also, yeah, that one's not ready. Part of this is also, this is a really small burner. So like the center is cooking and the sides are not as hot. And I think that I should have moved all the potatoes to like the very center. We'll get there. You would pay to see me play Marathon because it's stressful? Hey! My hair is green. It is not for Marathon. I just wanted to not do blue. and green was adjacent. What's after green? I don't actually know. I'm not sure what I can get myself into. I'll probably have to do brown and hope that I can like jump slightly over like brown. Like if I add orange and red to this, I may be able to get a kind of orangey brown color, like a copper. Probably would have to be a little bit darker than a copper, but like in that plane, and that's probably where I'll end up next. I'm going to have to go brown to transition, unfortunately, which is fine. But it'll take a while too, because I'm going to have to grow it all out. Going color progression, blue, green, yellow. The problem is yellow requires like all undyed hair. Yellow would be really, really hard to get to from here. It's honestly, it's really hard to transition to anything from green. I could go back to it. I could go into a teal, maybe go back to like a blue, like an aquamarine kind of color, or brown. There's no in between. With the blue, I could have done purple, could have done like a brownish coppery color, could have stuck with blue. But yeah, or done the green, which I did. There's a lot more play in blue than there is in green. I do gray. Never been happier with my hair, but it's how 90% of men look in ads. Hey, I think that honestly, the like full gray and like it all looks like really uniform, that's really nice. Like the guys who go like all white, I'm like, that's cool. That's really cool. And I've had a couple of friends, like parents, like friends' parents, whose hair done that where it's like it's not gray and white. It's just like all white. It's so pretty. Lep is almost done boiling. He's close. Almost. Is Fred Durst all white? Oh no. His hair is completely white now. I have to look that up. That's gonna make me feel real old. Oh no. I still listen to Limp Bizkit songs. I've got him in playlists. Ooh, Death Rage, thanks. Thanks for the mid-afternoon sax. Does the sax show up during stream? Oh, okay. Howdy. Thank you. He's jonesing for some soup. Was that that was a request. Aw, that was nice. Okay, I guess let's get back into this. I think this is about ready, so we can start moving on. Check one of the really big pieces here. It's this, like, there are two pieces in here that are larger than the others by just a touch, and they were on the outside of the pot, not directly on the burner. And that is my problem right now. My fork is going through okay. Honestly, this is for me, so I'm not worried about this too much. I think I might just do this. It's not done. It's taking too long. So what happens when you cook on a tiny little cooktop? Okay, I'm gonna Turn that up again. Just put it in my bowl. I know. A tip for the chili last month. Aw. I honestly thought about microwaving them. If I put them in the bowl and then give them a little bit of a quick microwave. It's a good idea. Come on, soup. Okay, Aura, it's 12:42. Yeah. Yeah, so in the recipe, I'm pretty sure that I say 1.5 inch, 3.8 centimeter, so 4 centimeter cubes, which is not what I did. I did like 2 2.5 inch pieces. So was gonna take longer than the allotted time. I should have just followed the recipe. It's fine. It's all part of doing it live, right? This is how I prefer it. I think I did that just to like make it easier for people so that it wasn't so long. But I prefer to keep the potatoes as intact as possible when I'm making something with potatoes. We're almost there. Boil first, then slightly bang around to give them edges. Bake potatoes in the oven. Wham, so good. So like a patatas bravas kind of a thing. Yeah, those are super good. I do love me some patatas bravas. Those are very yummy. With like a fried egg on top. Oh man. I think I'm hungry, guys. I think I've been smelling this for too long and I need some food in my stomach. Yeah, and it helps if you boil them and then get them just like around the edges. The center's already warmed through. The outside gets like nice starchy pieces that then can get crispy in the oven. And they're already like partially, like they're like par cooked essentially. So it takes less time. You have a creamier center, a crispy outside. Like there's no losing when you're making those that way. So good. I prefer those to like the home style potatoes where it's just like kind of like a roasted potato and it's like crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. Like I like having and I say crispy meaning like there's just kind of like a skin. It's like it creates kind of like a crust on the outside, but it's not crispy. I much prefer the like patatas bravas over like a home style potato. I still have no clue how lep isn't 300 pounds because I'm making a soup. Like I talk about all of this stuff, but like I'm not making all of it at once. And even if the house is filled with good things to eat, they're mostly frozen, so he can't get to them very easy. I don't usually have like a ton of stuff. Even like desserts, like baked goods and stuff, like I'll just freeze them. We specifically, like I have a ton of freezer space. I have a deep freezer and then we have that fridge and the fridge upstairs for our main refrigerator. I have a ton of freezer space because I freeze everything. I freeze juices, I freeze fruit, I freeze baked goods, I freeze meat, I freeze cheese, I just freeze all the things. I freeze garlic, I freeze ginger, freeze stock. Everything is frozen. So you can't, yeah. Make it an effort to reheat the good stuff. That's exactly it. Because girl dinner keeps you on the straight and narrow. Okay, last time we're gonna check. Whatever happens, I'm going forward at this point. We're taking up too much time. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's good enough. I can feel that the starches are kind of moving around in there, and it doesn't feel so like. Actually, we'll turn it back on and we'll talk about it. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's not exactly, but it's good enough. So I'm gonna be good with this. Okay. Yeah. And we are back after letting these little suckers boil around for about 30 minutes. We are ready to go. I've got a little fork. You could also use like a paring knife, just something kind of thin. And you're going to check your potatoes by kind of piercing through. And you want to see a couple of different things. Let me grab my tongs real quick. I already kind of pierced through this a little bit, so you'll be able to see it. But you're gonna see a couple things. So the first thing you're gonna see is that you've got kind of like a starchy outside, right? So we kind of talked about how the outside's gonna get a little bit kind of starchy, and you're gonna see all those pieces. It's not just like a raw potato anymore. And then when you put your fork or knife through the potato, it should go through without much resistance. It should feel smooth, like you're kind of pushing through Play-Doh. You shouldn't feel your fork kind of catch and make any kind of jittery motions as you're going through. It should just kind of slide in. It will have resistance. You obviously want it to have some resistance. You don't want it to be so boiled through that they just start falling apart. But it should not be crisp when you're kind of poking through that. And you will be able to feel that. Like there is a real difference between a potato that is like ready and a potato that is not. So I'm going to fish the potatoes out now. I'm going to use this guy here. And I'm going to try to get as much of the leeks off them as possible as I do this. And I can always pull the leeks out like I just did with the first piece. There we go. It's okay if a little bit of potato is left in here, as long as you get most of it out. Because remember, we are going to blend everything that's left in here, and I want to make sure that we are not going to gum up our soup. Okay. Whoop. Trying to remember how many pieces of potato I put in. 3 potatoes cut into 4s, 12 pieces. We could do math. I'm honestly thinking that the fork would be better to get these out. Okay. We are gonna let these cool off just a touch and let them steam so that some of that moisture comes off of them. I don't want them to completely cool, but I also don't want them to be like super, super wet. We do want to let some of that steam off. Okay. Almost there. This is so funny. Something else that I can smell, and I know that I had mentioned that I had like the Parmesan rinds. I can smell them in the soup, which is like really nice. And I do need to find those as well. They're somewhere in here. Okay, I think that's 90% of the potato. Oh, that is a Parmesan rind. That's why I smelled it. That's Parmesan. I'm gonna eat this. Very honestly, I will be eating that. Okay, we're gonna take our bay leaves out. I did put 2, so I've gotta find the other one. Oh, found you. And then let's find that last rind. There she blows. Okay. So now we've got all the things that we don't want to be blended out of our soup. And I am going to just quickly pick off some of these pieces because they're going to get stuck in the potato ricer if I have them in there. I don't want the potato ricer to get blocked. Turn that off. Okay. Just kind of doing a quick pick through, just getting the stuff that looks like it's big so that I can make sure the potato goes all the way through the ricer without issue. It still probably would get pushed through just because they are cooked through, like they're cooked really well. So they could probably get pushed through the holes, but I just don't want to jam it up or anything like that. So I'm just being a little careful. Okay, I think that's most of it. Metal tongs in there. What kind of pan is that? It's an enameled Dutch oven. Really, the only thing that you're not supposed to use metal in is something with like a Teflon or a nonstick coating because the nonstick coating can scratch. So if you have stainless steel, like a stainless steel soup pot, you can use metal tongs or utensils in that. If you have cast iron, that's fine with metal. If you have the enameled Dutch oven, that's fine, which is cast iron with just the enamel on it. Carbon steel, go for it. Really, really up to you. It's just the nonstick pans that you are not supposed to use metal utensils in. Okay, so got my potatoes, got my soup over here. I'm going to move this into my blender bowl with a ladle. And I'm basically, I could just pour this all in, but I would make a huge mess and make splashes all over the place. So I'm just gonna get most of it in here using a ladle, and then I will pour the rest of it in when I get to the bottom. Is 45, the 45, is that just a number or the actual heat? So it's just the level of heat. This specific cooktop goes between like a 1 and a 10, and 4.5 is just medium heat. It's getting heavy. I want to set it down. So yeah, I was just cooking this all on medium heat. That's basically where I live with this recipe. Oh, there's a tiny piece of potato. Get that out. Okay. At this point, I'm just going to scrape the sides down. And the attempt now is just to make sure that I get all the pieces of leek into my blender. And this is good. Pour away from yourself so that you don't splash onto yourself. And honestly, at this point, you can either just rinse this out or you can be absolutely insane like me and scrape the dang thing so you get all the pieces. Really up to you. Just if you're making something creamy and then you leave like a couple of pieces of leek or onion or whatever in here, then it's not going to be completely creamy and that's going to be annoying. So you do whichever one you want. Scrape everything out or just rinse the pot. You haven't built up any like flavor or fond or anything on the bottom of the pot, so rinsing it isn't going to do anything. Okay. That's everything. Everything I can scrape off. Okay. Good to go. We're gonna blend this. We are almost done, guys. Almost done. Okay, I'm going to blend this up. I'm not gonna talk while I'm blending this, because if I talk while I blend this, then it's gonna be really loud on the mic. So I'm just gonna let the noise gate do its job, and it will be silent for the next like 30 seconds. Okay. And I actually just realized that I forgot to add my thyme. So we're gonna do that real quick. The thyme gets blended in to the soup base. Unless you want like leaves, like you want pieces of thyme just like hanging out in your soup and getting like really big punches of thyme, which I don't want. I want to blend it into it. So I'm gonna do that. Herbs are usually added in the 30 minutes, about 30 minutes of cooking before you serve. Fresh herbs. If you're using dried herbs, they get added when you're sauteing or sweating down your vegetables. If you're using fresh herbs, they're gonna get added really close to the end. Okay, let's do this one more time. Okay. Come back to this. So like this is already really good. This is leek soup. And now we're gonna add the potatoes to it. Okay. Oh my God, that's so good. Holy cow. Okay. I am gonna turn this back on, but I am gonna turn it on just low. So we're gonna just keep it there. I'm going to take my potato ricer. So here's where I talked a little bit earlier about the technique of how this works, is I can blend that soup as long as I want, get it as creamy as I want, right? And then without gumming up the potatoes, we go ahead and we do this guy. So we have minimal agitation, right? So this is basically like if we were gonna make mashed potatoes. Okay, a couple more pieces. Yeah, so dried herbs need time to rehydrate and actually flavor whatever soup, stew, stock, something or other that you're making. Fresh herbs do not need that. The longer a fresh herb cooks, the less flavor it will have. The longer a dried herb cooks, the more flavor it will provide. So they kind of work in opposite. I am moving this back over the bowl that I've got these in because I don't want the pieces that aren't pushed through the bottom of the potato ricer to end up in the soup because, right, we're going for creamy. So I'm making sure that that happens. Okay. I should be using tongs for this instead of my hands, but it's fine. Okay, we'll shift to tongs. It's just because they got a little buried and I was like, but we'll do that now. We're getting to where it's a little soupy because it came out of the stock and I just don't feel like touching that today. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's do some mixing. So this is now going to get mixed in until it kind of disintegrates into our soup. And you can stop here. I'm not going to stop here, but you can stop here if you really wanted to. Okay, and I'm also going to add in the white pepper that we ground earlier. Okay. Toss in our white pepper. I'm really surprised that I did not sneeze. Really proud of myself. I'm going to stand back a little bit so that I don't end up sneezing on stream. So there still is a little bit of texture in the potatoes. And because I want this to be super, super creamy, but I don't want to like really, my light fell down again. Let me go fix that real quick. The light just went down. I don't know why it's doing this. There. Hopefully that'll stay up until the end of stream. Okay, so there's still a little bit of texture in the potatoes, and I do want it to be much cream, like not much creamier, but I want to give it just that little extra. So I am going to use, that's so good. I am going to use an immersion blender, so my stick blender here, to finish this off without having to add it into that blender and have it get over whipped and over mixed. Okay, so this way I can control like where I end up and how much time we're actually agitating the potatoes. And also because we've kind of broken up those potatoes and aerated them and pushed them through the potato ricer, and now we've surrounded them with the liquid, right, of the soup, there's far less damage that I can do this way than if I had put full potatoes into that and just took everything from the pot, put it into the blender, and had those full potatoes kind of have to get broken up, right? So because I've used that ricer, I've kind of like immediately kind of stopped or like lessened the ability. There's like more play in the joints on like getting a thick, gloopy soup. Okay, so, oh God, don't tell me. The battery's dead. Is the battery dead or did it just not connect it correctly? No, I'm pretending. That's funny. Okay, I will do this off stream after we finish, but it's basically done. That's so funny. Okay. The last thing that I want to do today is I'm going to put some nutmeg in here. And this is really like, you're doing like a 1/16 of a teaspoon. It's like 0.2 grams. Like it's super, super, not a lot. Anytime that you, honestly, anytime you have a delicate, creamy concoction of whatever, sauce, soup, stew, something or other, especially if you plan to add cream as a finisher or there's like sour cream in it or something like that, and it's like a nice light, nutmeg is like the perfect topping, the perfect kind of like just subtle addition, give it a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of something in there. And so I am, in fact, you don't have to, but I am going to add some nutmeg to this. I like nutmeg in this soup. And it's just a touch. We're not doing anything crazy. That's it. Done. Another sound to add in post, right? Not a big deal. Okay. And the salt is right where I want it to be. So I don't need to add any more salt to this. When I serve this dish, you can eat it as is. Totally fine. Eat it right out of the pot if you want. That's exactly what I'm about to do. But I do like to do a couple of different things. If you want, you can add some sour cream. You need a little bit of tanginess in there. If you, and an additional bit of body, like if you feel like it's a little bit too loose for you, you want it a little thicker, sour cream is a great addition. If you want to just add a little bit of creaminess and maybe like bring down the amount of flavor, adding a little bit of heavy cream in there, totally go for it. You can also, it's so good. You can also add in buttermilk. That's the thing I prefer. I really like to throw in like, you know, a tablespoon, like 15 milliliters, just drizzle on some buttermilk and mix that in. I think it's because buttermilk is not as thick as heavy cream. It maintains the texture of the dish, the thickness of the soup that I want, but also gives just a little bit of tartness to it, a little bit of sourness that I really like. So I like to add buttermilk. It's also really fun to make croutons for this. So if you have any like leftover bread, especially if you have like a sourdough or like an Italian loaf or something like that, if you have like slices of it, just chop those slices into squares, coat them in a little bit of olive oil, maybe toss some like, you know, some garlic, something, I don't know, like any other, like a garlic powder or paprika or some of the garlic oil that we've now made over here could be just kind of brushed on them. Bake those in the oven until they're nice and crispy all over. You're gonna wanna inset like a cookie sheet, like a cookie drying rack or whatever they're called, like the little like racks that are let air go through. But you're gonna wanna inset in that into your half sheet baking tray and then put the bread on that, and then you're gonna be like flipping it kind of halfway through to make sure it cooks on all sides, and that it really gets that kind of like airflow to really get them nice and crispy. That's super good in this dish as well. But that's everything. I really hope that, I mean, aside from our handful of hiccups that we had with our mic and then with this guy, that you guys found a really good recipe, that you're comfortable making this, that you understand why we're doing things. If anybody has any questions, if you found this video at a later date, you're not here for the live, please feel free to ask a question in the comment section. I do periodically come in and check on stuff, and if I see something or I get notified that somebody's commented, I'll go in and answer questions. You can also DM me at my Instagram at _little_spoon. That's my handle. DM me there. There is a contact form on my website at alittlespoon.com. You can contact me there. I'm happy to answer questions all the time. I love doing this. So if anybody does have anything, happy to teach, happy to talk food always. I think that's everything. This is the whole dish. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your spring soups. Enjoy your transition. It was really nice to have you guys here. I'll see you guys next time. Cool. And we're out. Kind of. Honestly, Parmesan that has been sitting in soup is so good. And I am about to demolish the parts that are. So I guess for those of you who like to eat, this is the rind, and then this is kind of like the stuff that like you think is rind because you're like trying to get kind of close. But this is actually, like, you can eat this whole thing, but like I'm fully gonna eat. But it's been soaking in soup. Oh my God, that's so good. It's been soaking in the soup and it's like soft. I love this. We're clapping. Oh no, you missed it. That's okay. I need to charge the hand blender. Okay. So yeah, basically just like where it lightens from the back of the rind. Go for it. Oh my God, so good. And it's high in protein too. Aged cheeses have lots of protein. It's good soup. I need the meme. It's always fun when you make something and you can taste the ingredients in it, no matter how small the amount. That it's like, I can pick out the pepper, I can pick out the thyme, I can pick out the Parmesan was in there. So good. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, you know what I should have talked about? You live people are gonna get something a little extra. Here you go. If you do put cream into this, sour cream, heavy cream, buttermilk, whatever that looks like, make sure that you're topping it in your bowl. Unless you're going to eat the entire pot worth of soup, do not add your cream to your soup because then you can't freeze it, or you can, but then you have to be like really careful about reheating it, especially if it's buttermilk or sour cream, because they tend to break when they get too high of a temperature during reheating. So I usually just say, like, if you're going to be adding like anything that's not like heavy cream to a soup that you're planning on freezing and then reheating, milk just doesn't, it's not great. It's not great about like getting frozen and then coming back to temperature, especially if you do it quickly. So it's easier to just keep this as is without any dairy in it, and then just add top when you go to eat it. So, because then you can I can freeze this and then I can just like boil it, bring it right up to temperature, and then like top it when I put it in a bowl, and then I have what I want every time instead of having to be like careful. So, where's my serving? When you make it, you'll have like 6 servings. It'll be great. Lep appearing in 3, 2, 1, right on cue. That's really funny, actually. It's just like, it's so light. Like, there's potato in it. Obviously, you guys watched me put 3 potatoes in it. But like, I feel like sometimes like you go into a restaurant and you order like any kind of like creamy potato something, and it's creamy, but the texture is like thick, and like it's just not, it's not like a soup. It almost feels like it's like a sauce, like I'm just eating sauce. And I prefer a lighter potato soup. It's so good. Okay. Is there a certain kind of meat I'd suggest alongside the soup? Fish or pork? I would say fish or pork. I feel like a tilapia or like a mahi or like a snapper or amberjack or something like that would be great with this. On the side, if you did like a lemon garlic or dill something, capers, that would be really nice if you did like a lemon caper butter like sauce. And then threw some maybe dill or something in there that would pair really well. Dill in this would also be really nice. I like thyme because I like to stick to the savory herbs. Dill to me is sweet, but dill would also go really well, and that would go very well with like a fish. But then I think like a pork would also be really nice if you did like a marinated pork of some kind. I feel like that could be real good. Halibut would be great. Yep. It does. I always feel it's too much cream. It's too much like the soup. I love soup. Okay, you guys heard me talk about how like all I do is eat soup at work. When I have like a full day of work and I sit on a bench and just like eat soup every afternoon. And I love soup, but I feel about soup the same way that I feel about like barbecue, is that like it should speak for itself. The toppings and like adding cream to it and like all that other kind of like stuff should not be like, that should not be like why you like how creamy it is or how whatever. Like cream should not be the reason that it is that texture. It should be that texture. It should be that flavor. And I get like frustrated when it's like, oh, just add cream or just add this, and then it'll be fine. And it's like, no, stop it. Make the soup good in the first place. Barbecue should be good. You should not have to add sauce to it to make it better. You should be able to eat it without sauce. You should be able to have soup without cream. Just saying. I love soup. I've got a couple other soups on my list of stuff to get through. I've made, my friend and I used to make a seafood chowder that I haven't made in like 15 years. I really want to make that again. I want to do now that we're in Colorado, I want to do like a white chicken chili salsa verde, like corn chowder kind of something or other. Cause I feel like that's, yeah. Or like a green chili chowder kind of something. And then I really want to do, I make pozole verde a lot, but I really want to do a pozole rojo or like a menudo. Oh my God, I would be so happy. I have a lot of things that I would love to really get myself into. I love soup. Corn, wild rice, summer sausage type of chowder. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. Yes. Yep. It is great. It's great all the time. And like you can have it for honestly any meal you want. Seafood chowder for you, that sounds fantastic. I love a seafood chowder. It was really good. Really good. Really, really, really. Okay. Jambalaya. I have so many things on my to-do list to like make a good recipe for. I really like jambalaya. I really like boudin balls. With like the andouille sausage and oh my God. The first time I had those, it was maybe like 8 years ago, and I've only had them a handful of times, but like every time I've had, oh God, they're so good. They're so good. Somebody's hungry. I am hungry. How'd you know? We still have gumbo. I have got gumbo in the deep freezer that I keep seeing, and I'm like, I think I need to have some of that gumbo. You jambalaya'd. Thank you for making that a verb. I love that. I have some frangipan in the refrigerator, and I'm like contemplating making myself a tiny little king cake. No, boudin, B-O-U-D-I-N. They're super good. If you ever seen them on a menu, just get them. Don't ask questions. They're so good. Okay. Yeah, share it, please do. I'm kind of obsessed with jambalaya as a word. That may be a new. Anytime that I want to say that I enjoyed cooking, like I cooked with joy, I'm gonna say I jambalaya. It feels like you're dancing and cooking at the same time, and I really like that. Okay, I'm gonna start cleaning up. Thank you very much for joining me today on this live. We had a good time. I hope you guys learned some stuff. And I'll see you next time. The next one, I mentioned earlier, and I'll say it again, the next one is actually gonna be on April 12th, not the 5th, because the 5th is Easter. And y'all are gonna be preoccupied, or a lot of us are gonna be preoccupied. So April 12th, same time, 12:30 Eastern time. And we are gonna be doing cocktails. We love a good cocktail stream, right? I'm gonna be doing like brunch cocktails since Mother's Day will be kind of like on its way. It'll be a couple of weeks away. And so, rabbit is so yummy. Rabbit for Easter sounds good. But we're gonna do some brunch cocktails. I'm gonna be doing 3 different cocktails. If you get my newsletter, you already know what I'm gonna be doing because I have it in my newsletter. But you're gonna have I call it the garden party, and it's essentially like a really floral gin and tonic. It's got elderflower and lavender and rose in it. So it's like a floral gin and tonic, very brunch, very Mother's Day. And then I'm gonna do a dirty Bloody Mary, because you can't have brunch without Bloody Marys as an option. And then we're also going to do, it's a new recipe that is not yet on the website, but it is this month's recipe. And it's essentially a pineapple passion fruit margarita. And so that's gonna be the 3rd cocktail that we make. So, and it's the easiest cocktail out of all of them. It's good. So this way I have all of the liquors, right? Or at least 3 of the liquors. The last couple of times that I've done cocktail streams, it was like all gin or all tequila and mezcal. So this time I'm doing a gin cocktail, a vodka cocktail, and a tequila cocktail. So we'll have one of each one of them. Should be good. So yeah. His music band is called Indoor Garden Party. Funny. My favorite gin is a Leopold Bros summer gin. Do I have any down here? Not sure if I have any down here. Haha. This is my favorite gin, Leopold Bros Summer Gin. They have a couple of different gins. They have like their like base gin, and then that's called like just London Dry. And then they have their summer gin, and I believe they have like an autumn gin. The summer one is my favorite. It's a lot more citrus forward. It's super light. It's really crisp, and I really like it a lot. So that's usually what I use. What's the dirt and the Bloody Mary? I've had and normal, never dirty. Anytime a cocktail is dirty, it has olive brine in it. So it's a New Orleans style Bloody Mary with olive brine in it. New Orleans style Bloody Marys are very, very light and crisp. It's got a lot of lemon and lime juice in it, if that's helpful. Sometimes Bloody Marys can be kind of thick or savory, or like a little bit of sweetness in there that I really don't prefer. I like a really like lower viscosity, like really loose, like kind of Bloody Mary, like nice, light and crisp. I don't like the tomato sauce or the V8 juice or tomato juice to be overwhelming. And so to me, it's just a lot lighter of a cocktail for my version. But yeah, it's got the dirty means that it's got olive brine in it. Is that the gin you tried? That was pretty good. No, you tried. You tried a gin that's upstairs. You tried a bourbon barrel aged gin, and that is really good gin too. Okay, I'm really ending it this time. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be, a week or so before, I will be talking about what we're making. I'll make sure that there are links to the recipes that we're gonna be doing. So if you wanna go get ingredients, I feel like a cocktail cook-along is a lot more approachable than something like this to do a cook-along. So, if you feel like one of those cocktails speaks to you and you wanna do like a special brunch or celebrate mom or do whatever, celebrate yourself if you're a mom and have some cocktails, you can come along and just choose one of them or multiples of them, and we can do some batching, and you guys can figure out if you like the cocktails. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Huh? Oh. Ooh. That sounds good. I'm gonna have to try that. I'll find it. Family Jones Distillery out of Denver. If they distribute up here in Fort Collins, I have a couple of liquor stores that I really like that I think stock very well. I'll check it out to see if I can find them. I feel like the Family Jones, I feel like Jones in general, I feel like I've seen that. So I'm pretty sure which store will have it. I just don't know if they're gonna have that specific flavor, but I'll look for it because that sounds incredible. And I've always wanted to do like an Earl Grey cocktail. So, okay, cool. Thanks for that. That's really awesome. You found it in Nebraska, but it's not super common. If you found it in Nebraska, then maybe I'll find it. I mean, it's in my state, right? Fingers crossed. I'll look for it. If I find it, I'll like post it and be like, I found it. We'll give you an update if I find it. Okay. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for that tip. I'll look for it. Cool.